What's going on out there, Organic World? It's your boy Freezer Capone, aka the Frozen Shogun, aka the only real answer to the age-old question, what's cooler than being cool? I don't know who this ice cold person is, but he ain't it. It's me, your boy. Now, I've chosen today to continue the Organic Growth series by adding on to our last topic, the organic feeling episode. If you haven't watched it, go ahead and do yourself the favor, watch it. We talk a little bit about the importance of feeling, so on and so forth, as well as the differences between feeling of previous generations and the current generations, and so on and so forth. It's a good time. It's a great time. But today, what we're going to talk about, we're going to expand upon that. We're going to talk about what can be and what has great potential to be poison, right? If we don't really understand this thing when it comes to our feelings, and that is love. Right, love. We're going to talk about love today and what it really means to be in love and like healthily in love and blase, whatever. I'm going to make it short and sweet. Now, obviously, we can talk about all the things that we see in like media, or whatever the case may be, as it relates to love. We can talk about how people say we can sit and bullshit ourselves and say things like, oh, well, love is an action verb, or love is what it does, and so on and so forth. And like, these are all good things that are technically true, but we spout these things out. We don't really know what we mean when we say these things. Truthfully, we don't know. So I wanted to kind of talk about a lot of the different things that look like love and feel like love, or whatever the case may be. Maybe not in this video. If you want another video, get down in the comments, get active. Let me know. I want to hear back from you all as well. It's not just me talking to you. It's our channel. It's our channel. You're looking and talking to me, but this is our channel. So love. Everybody at some point has felt it. Everybody at some point has experienced it, either giving or receiving, maybe both simultaneously. Maybe you were in a mutually beneficial love relationship, or whatever the case may be. But let's talk about like that feeling of love. You know what I mean? Like, love is like, for those of you who've never been in love, or you swear you've never been in love, it's that feeling that you get where you feel invincible and indomitable, and like you feel kind of like take on all comers ish, or whatever the case may be. Inversely, it'll also make you feel lower to the earth than the bottom of a worm's belly. You know what I mean? It'll build you up, it'll tear you down. There is no in between. Love is a good thing, and it's a bad thing simultaneously, especially if you don't recognize like the signs that what you believe is love isn't really love. What I mean by that is, oftentimes we as humans, or as sentient beings, we take and we make these actions, and we perform these acts, so on and so forth. And we call that love, right? We say, oh, well, I'm doing this, that, and the third for so-and-so, or with so-and-so, because I love them, and that's the way that I show love. That's the way that I express my love. And I'm not going to be the one to sit here and tell you how to express your love. I'm not going to be that person. That's not my job. That's not what this page is about. But I will tell you that your actions aren't necessarily love. They may feel like love, especially for you, but that might not be true for the other person. It's a thinking point there. Bro. Sorry about that. I had to check something. So basically what I mean by that is, while we people may feel like what we're doing is adequate or appropriate for whatever person or thing we're trying to express love toward, it might not be appropriate for that person or that thing that we're trying to express love toward or for, right? For instance, individuals who are out there who are providers, right? You provide a lifestyle, you provide comfort, so on and so forth. While you might feel like that's your way of expressing love, the person that you're doing that for might not see it as that. You know, they might see it as that's just you doing what you're supposed to do. You know, not necessarily that you're doing it out of love, but that you're doing it out of obligation, which isn't love. Performing acts out of obligation is not love. So that's one point. Or you may feel as though, for instance, because you're spending a lot of time with a person, you know, you're giving this person your attention and so on and so forth, that's your way of expressing love. But that's not either. That's you creating an intimate, albeit, but interpersonal bond with this person that's based on your physical presence, right? You're creating attachment, right? Which may feel like love. You know, there's nothing wrong with being attached to an extent. But again, it's not love. You know, so then obviously now the question is, Freezy, what the fuck is love then? What do you define love as? The only definition of love that I can give anybody that'll see this video is like the Merriam-Webster edition, or like the definition of love. And no one wants to hear that. You know what I mean? No one cares about what the dictionary says about love, because in all honesty, it doesn't matter what the dictionary says about love. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what the dictionary says about love, because every individual is different and every individual is going to experience love differently, right? Now, what I believe is a true act of love from one person to another between people is finding out how another person experiences or expresses love, right? So like you have all these other studies and everything that talks about people's love languages and everything, and a lot of people will discredit it and call it hocus pocus and mumbo jumbo and BS. But there is a level of truth in these love languages that every individual speaks, right? For instance, if you're an individual, like there's like a bunch of different like qualifying like things like love languages, like quality time, physical touch, receiving gifts, words of affirmation, blah 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 blah, you know, and all of that could mean everything or nothing as it relates to a relationship. So what does that mean? For an individual who, like myself, for me, I did the test. My highest scoring love language was quality time, right? Followed by physical touch. We'll get into that. That's a whole thing. But my primary love language is quality time. So for me, that means the going on movie dates or going on dates, or just, you know, even if we don't go out and do something, you know, sitting in the house or like watching TV or like cooking together, doing just spending time together, right? That for me is huge. You know what I mean? Like that'll get you damn near any and everything you want out of me, if I'm being completely transparent. Romantically, at least. But for another individual whose love language might be words of affirmation, they might need to hear it. You know what I mean? Like these people might need to hear you say things like, oh, I love you, or oh, you look pretty today, or I believe in you, go out there and be great. and that's what works for them. So with regards to romantic love, this is what we're talking about presently. Obviously, we're talking about romantic love between individuals. With regards to romantic love, my opinion stands that the best outward expression of love is to learn your partner's individual love language, and if possible, try to express your love toward them in that manner, in the manner that which their body or their psyche most easily recognizes it, right? But that's exclusively romantic love. Now, sorry about that again. Anyway, now if we're going to talk about non-romantic love, right? We can talk about things like your platonic love. We can talk about things like not necessarily communal, but like love within like a community. We can talk about a whole different assortment of like ways to express love. But the one that I want to talk about in this video next is unconditional love. Unconditional love. Unconditional love. I'm repeating it so that you hear what I'm saying. Unconditional love. Love without condition. Unconditional love. Now, like, obviously, some people, oh, that's annoying. Stop saying it. Why do you keep saying unconditional love? Because a lot of people don't understand what it means to practice unconditional love. Oftentimes, we look for unconditional love in romance. It is, in my opinion, you can obviously tell me to go piss up a rope or whatever you want to tell me to go fuck off. In my opinion, it is impossible to find unconditional love in romantic love, right? What that means for me is that unconditional love has to already exist, separate from romantic love or romantic attraction, whatever the case may be. There needs to already be unconditional love separate. In other words, there is nothing that you can do as an individual to this other individual that would make them stop loving you, right? That would make them stop loving you. A lot of times this is called, a lot of the times when you hear about unconditional love, you think about like parental love, right? And realistically, that's more often than not the best example that we have to give. Like a parent's love, a mother's love, a father's love for their child is more often than not the best way or the best example that we have for unconditional love, because that love is love that is brought forth. It's not even like it already exists in people, right? It already exists. Unconditional love already exists in people, right? But something about the connection between these two individuals, right? Something about this connection is so damn potent that it is immediate. It's almost like a chemical response within the human body to unconditionally love this individual person, right? Unconditionally. Nothing they can do, no wrong they can do will make you stop loving them, right? Nothing. You know what I mean? Nothing they can do will make that love cease, right? It won't cease. It won't slow. It won't shrink. None of that shit. It's huge. It's overwhelming. It's like a blanket. You're covered in it. It's all over you at all times if you're on the receiving end of this thing. And if you're on the giving end of this thing, it's gushing out of you 100% of the time, even in your sleep. There's nothing you wouldn't do for this person. And that's a beautiful love right there, unconditional love. And realistically, it's the most important love to have, right? It's like the best kind of love to have, because it's love in truth, right? Whereas romantic love is love that's dependent upon a few variables like attraction and language and so on and so forth, and communication and everything like that. This love, this unconditional love thing is it's realistically powerful enough to change the planet, change the course of events. It's like the whole premise. If any of you are old enough, that's like the whole premise of the movie Fifth Element. It's like, oh, you got these elements of fire, earth, wind, and water. And what's the fifth element? The fifth element is love, because love is, or can be, the ultimate weapon, right? And then we could talk about like communal or like familiar love, like love between like relatives or like friends, other loved ones. And a lot of the time when we're experiencing or expressing like this kind of love, it's like this love, like communal, like familiar love, is different from unconditional love, and in that sometimes you do stop fucking with people, for lack of better terminology. There are going to come times in your lives where people are going to either not necessarily change, but something about the dynamic between the two of you changes, right? It could be something as simple as moving away to a different part of the country, you know what I mean? Or being on completely opposite sides of the country, or just not really seeing one another enough to communicate at the level that you communicated in the first place to create this bond between the two of you. Or it could be something as complex and complicated as you noticed a behavior that this person exhibited that you really don't like for whatever reason, whatever the behavior is, whatever the reason is not working for you and it works for the other person, and now y'all got issues, right? And there's nothing wrong with that either. With these situations, with this kind of love, it's always imperative to remember going into these kind of situations that even Judas was close to Jesus Christ at once, for those of you who are religious. And, everybody's got a picture with their Judas. You know what I mean? Now, that's not me making an attempt to sow seeds of doubt in like your circle or whatever the case may be. And there's going to be somebody that's going to say something along the lines of, well, not my friends. My friends solid. We solid over here, blase, blase. And that's all well and good. And I can accept and appreciate that you are that confident in the individuals that you've allowed in your life. However, word of caution, always be ready. Never get caught lacking. Period. So after talking about these three different loves, I guess what I want to say to end the video is that unconditional love is king. Romantic love takes work. And familiar love can be dangerous, right? Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Unconditional love is king. There's nothing that can change about it. Put in the work for romantic love, and yeah, be careful about who you keep in your circle. Or like that one song, "Keep the snakes about your circle." You know what I mean? That being said, I want to formally apologize to everybody for not uploading this video earlier, or even recording this video before now. It's like midnight here in California on May 8th, I think the date is. I love you all, and I'll catch you at the next video. Oh boy, yes sir.